welcome back. Hope you're having a good day. These are a couple trees I haven't updated since actually March of 2022. They are sold in the biggest box store as Ficus Triangularis. I understand they are just a form of natalensis. I'll have all the names in the title and description and everything. They got variegated leaves compared to, other ficus that I've got anyway. I don't really have any other ones with variegated leaves. I understand Benjamina has a lot of variegated varieties available. I don't personally have any. I've never really seen any. I'd probably get one if I did, just because it's something different, which is why I actually got these two. The reason why it's been a little while since I've updated them, first off, is March of 2022 was the last video I did with them. And then the hurricane came late September, early October, I guess it was. And one of them was just beat nearly to death, and the other one looked fine. It was kind of amazing. They were right next to each other, and one looked fine, the other one would look terrible. And as I kind of was recovering myself from that, and just kind of helping all my trees recover too, I put the one that was doing fine kind of in the section that was these are fine, they just need watered. And then I had the other section where they need a little TLC. As I'm kind of just, the one was kind of regaining some health and the other one was kind of losing its health. So as the one that was needing TLC started to regain its health, I noticed that the other one suddenly started looking bad, and then I kind of picked it up, took a look at it, because I just kind of hadn't been caring for that group all that much. And it was just absolutely covered in scale. Almost every branch had some scale on it. That one started needing some work on it, and I kind of separated them again, and then next thing you know, the other one that was recovering had scale all over it too. And I had to put some work into that. I'm going to repot them both. This one, I think the pot has gotten just way too small for it. You may even notice when I go to repot it in a minute that the pot is pretty much squished. I've had to kind of keep it in between two bricks to keep it from blowing over. This one, part of the damage that it kept doing was every time it got knocked around, it would lose all its substrate. And so it's only got soil up to about there in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to repot, I'm going to trim them both, cut them back both pretty hard, and I'm going to take this one and put it in something slightly bigger, and I'm going to take this one and probably put it right in this pot here. Kind of depends on how this repot goes. There's a chance I may just put this one back into this pot, depend on what I find in when I get in here and everything. First thing I'm going to do is go ahead and trim this one up, and this one, in my opinion, looks much better than the other one. There are, as I was looking, a couple different possible fronts. The one that I had there for a second, and then this one. If I choose one, I'd probably take out some of these forward-facing branches, but then if I went ahead and spun it around the other way, then that could be a good back branch. So I think for now, I'm not really going to worry about choosing a front or anything like that. I'm just going to go ahead and trim it up for what it is. These were just perfectly straight trees. I was able to get that bend in this. So at least overall, it's got a little movement in it. I would like to, there's some of these branches kind of growing out down there. I'm going to leave them. In all honesty, I'd have to let them really run and become a sacrifice to contribute to any real thickness down there. But if I can repot it and leave them alone, I'll just leave them alone, just in the interest of keeping as much health in the tree as possible after the repot. After the repot, I may go ahead and knock some of them out. What I'm going to do is just come in any of these branches that I really worked on, kind of getting in shape and everything. That one had some growth coming straight up off of it. That one's got some straight down growth. And then just try to get, again, this is a species of ficus I don't have a whole lot of experience with, but from what I've done with this so far, it's really bounced back from everything I've ever done with it, so I've really got no worries here. But I'm going to try to get most of the growing tips, not necessarily every one, but most of them, and then like I said, just the straight up and straight down growth, things like that. And take a little pause here and say, if this was not a tropical, I would not do this kind of pruning and repotting in the same day. Here in Florida, my tropical plants are not going to follow the same rules that some of you guys may see in some of these beginner forums with the one insult for a year, things like that. I can give this thing 4 or 5 insults in a day and it'll come back from it. I'd just like to point that out. Only because this is a tropical would I do that. Honestly, I don't know if I'd get this brutal with it. If I kept it, say, like indoors up north or something like that, I'd probably be a little bit careful, more careful, but coming up in mid-July, and these trees should bounce back no problem at all. And what I'll probably do is, once I see it really bouncing back from the repot, is go ahead and get some more wire on it. Try to get some of these lateral branches a little more lateral. And I think that will be thinned out enough for a repot here. This one I got the movement in. And then everything down here died, but this one branch might make me think that this was the one that actually got the hurricane damage. But again, just kind of lost track of which was which. I was really enjoying the fact that, you know, I got this movement up here. Seems to be healthy up here too. And just take that out, try to shorten it up a little bit. And then since I did that, I'll probably cut way less off of these. Leaves and branches are what make roots. And I want it actively making roots when I get it in the new pot. And so I'm just going to take out a couple of these really awkward branchings here. And I think that'll work for this one. Alright, it has been a little while since I looked, but I am expecting to see nearly no root structure at all. And I mean, it really is actually even kind of amazing that this thing has stayed as healthy as it is. And so let's see here. Still a lot of the, should have went back and looked at the repotting video from when I repotted it, from when I bought it from the clearance rack. Still got plenty of the peat. Some people have different reasoning for why they think that the nurseries all, you know, especially the big box stores, always have everything in straight peat moss. Let me get it. Sorry, I had to kill that roach. But when they, you know, when they have, I'm gonna guess that, you know, they got this as a cutting, and when you put it in pure peat, it'll really root in there real quick, and it'll become kind of bound in that peat really quick too, and then, you know, makes it easier for it to ship, you know, etc., etc. And they're just looking for quick growth. They're not really looking for, you know, nabari, things like that or anything. So this is probably almost exactly what I got it down to when I did it the first time, but not really much else there. Like I said, really is kind of amazing that it's even stayed healthy. I didn't really even hardly break any roots there or anything. And this thing does have this. I'm gonna cut that off. I don't really want that hanging out up there. And that. And I was thinking about, I said it'll give us some room to grow. It'll give me a good idea, you know, since I'm putting the other one back in the pot this one was in. If I see that this thing really does kind of take off really well, I'll know that if I put that one in a bigger pot, it should also take off really well. And I think, based on just how those roots were in the other pot there and everything, I think that's about as deep as I want to get it there. Yeah, I think that'll work, and that'll give me I can go ahead and put this in almost anywhere in the yard once it kind of takes off, and I won't have to worry about it toppling over too much. Sometimes these things, these leaves on this particular type of tree, I'm touching it way up there, seem to catch the wind really, really well. I don't know what the difference is between it and some of my other ficus and everything, but all right, so now let's do this guy here. Kind of surprised that it's got a little more roots showing around the edges compared to the other one. Almost. Really now, I mentioned just a minute ago, I wish I would have went back and looked at the repotting video when I originally repotted these. I'm thinking I might have gotten a little bit rougher with this one, and that might have actually been a good thing. Doesn't really explain why the other one had much healthier looking foliage, but alright, I don't really see the need to get too much more aggressive with this. Got most of the circling stuff around the edges. This one doesn't really have any roots popping up out of the surface there or anything. Get a couple more of these longer ones here. And we'll get this guy into the pot that the big sister was in. Maybe try to just put a little angle on it coming out of the substrate a little bit, make it look like it was a little more angled like that to start with. See how it kind of settles in. I think I've pretty much got enough soil here ready to go. Right. Alright, and that first part of the video was shot it was July 9th. And then honestly, I lost track of things and I almost forgot I never really did an update on it. I did have the death in the family, had to get out of town, all that kind of stuff. And it just really slipped my mind. I do remember now that I think about it, I remember talking about how I was leaving this sprout there, try to help to thicken that trunk up a little bit. I like the movement in this one. Doesn't really have too much taper on it or anything like that. I did, as I was considering all this, I'll tell you when the other one comes in here why I actually was reminded of it. The other one got kicked around by the hurricane the other day. I've actually had, we've had like 2 near misses with hurricanes. I had the death in the family, I had to get out of town, missed the first week of school, starting to teach a new subject. I really have just been super distracted here lately. Hope to get back into a good groove here soon. But as I was reminding myself, I never followed this up. A couple things I did notice. First, I mean, this is just, this branch here just has some dieback. And then I think I do remember I kind of did some selective pruning on the way up and then just kind of hedged the top off a little bit. And then it's going to be hard for you guys to see. But I saw, just as I was bringing it in today, I saw this little smaller branch here. And I was going to take it out because it's coming out right at the base of this other much thicker one, but then this other much thicker one is trying to almost take over as the apex. And I'd like to keep this tree relatively short, so I figure if I take that off, and then also I'm just going to do this to the apex too. And then what my hopes there are is that as this thing kind of fills back in, it'll push a lot more new growth. And then as soon as I do notice that, I'm going to go ahead and probably get some wire on it and everything. I do catch some grief about not tying my trees in, but during the hurricane just the other day, this past weekend, This got knocked over, and I was worried about it for a second, but it barely even lost any substrate out of there. I haven't even replaced any, and still just looks normal. Has been close to 3 months since the repot, so it's definitely settles itself in here some. But the funny thing about this one is, before I just kind of, I'm just following up, letting you know they're both healthy and everything. I keep them right next to each other, and this one has a lot more color in the leaves still. The two colors it's had, this one has kind of yellow and then green, where the other one was a little more white and then a lot lighter green in the middle. And they are, like, kept right in the same spot. I don't really know, neither one of them gets any more sun than the other one. This one seems to, if the other one had leaves this color, I feel like it'd look a lot better. I may experiment some. Sometimes I hear the variegated ones need more sun. Sometimes I hear they need less. I'm not really all that sure. I may do some experimenting. It's winter's here, so if they get a bunch more color in their leaves, I might have to assume that perhaps maybe I should keep them someplace a little bit more shady. But anyhow, both of them are doing fine. Again, just kind of leaving this here for now. See if I can get some thickness down here. Does have a little graceful movement to it. Not much in the way of growth up here.